record me, so don't worry about it if you want to turn your videos on or off. Everyone is going to be muted throughout the whole class just so we can listen to our own music as we'd like. And I'm going to start by reading the Campus Rec waiver that we're starting our classes with now. So in order to make these classes as freely accessible as possible to our participants, we'll be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you've moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you're participating in a yoga class like this one, or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. The only clinical part of our whole class, I absolutely promise. So welcome to yoga, by the way. I didn't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a yoga teacher with Campus Rec. I'm honored to be your teacher this morning. The same thing is true of this class as with all the classes I teach. I'm hoping that this is the space where you're putting yourself first. I hope that's why you're here. And so my words are suggestions. They're not mandates. I would like you to go where your body would like to go today. If that's sitting or lying on your mat for the next 60 minutes and just breathing and being with the class, that's awesome. You're doing yoga the whole time. With that, I think we're ready to get started. So if you're following along on my playlist, you can go ahead and click start at the top, or you can start your music whenever you're ready. And we're going to start seated today in any position that feels really comfortable to you. So you can start with your legs cross-legged, or you can start with your legs extended out in front of you, long on your mat, whatever works best for you. And we're going to begin our class the way we just begin all of our classes, by bringing that awareness to our breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. I don't want you to change your breath. I don't want you to judge how the breath or the body feel this morning. I just want you to start noticing them. Maybe it's the first time today, or even in a few days, that you're paying conscious attention to what your breath feels like in the body. And sometimes that's anxiety producing. That's okay if that happens. Just stick with the breath. Sometimes it can be easier if you place one hand over the heart and the other one over your belly button, and you actually feel how the breath moves through the body in its cycle. Maybe your eyes close, or you find a soft gaze on something in front of you in your room. Still without changing your breath, on your next inhale, I want you to let that spine grow tall, kind of the head reaches toward the ceiling. On your exhale, the spine stays where it is and the shoulders come down and out from the ears. And the reason we start by focusing on our breath is because, particularly in Vinyasa, our breath is going to help us find movement today. But your breath is also what helps us stay in that parasympathetic nervous state, that place of rest and digest, instead of fight, flight, or freeze. It also gives your brain a little bit of a break. Instead of focusing on all your thoughts, you can focus on your breath instead. Maybe you start intentionally lengthening your inhales and deepening your exhales. And maybe you move into what we call our Ujjayi breath. In Sanskrit, Ujjayi means victorious, but we also call this our wave breath. And it's very easy. On your exhale, you're just going to create a slight restriction in the back of your throat, almost like you're trying to fog up a mirror in front of you. The effect should make it sound like your breath is a wave that's crashing through the body on your exhale. Especially since we're not all sharing a physical space, I can be very honest and tell you that I promise your neighbors will not be concerned with how loud your ocean breath is. So I want you to make your ocean breath as loud as you want it to be. It can be really helpful for the body to actually hear what the breath feels like. If you'd like to set an intention for today's class, I'd invite you to do that now. An intention could be a mantra. It could be the reason you stepped onto your mat today, what you're looking to find out of class. But it's where you're going to draw some more of that energy, some more of that focus from. So whatever that intention is that you might be setting, just take lengthy inhales and deep ujjayi exhales into it to seal it in. And if you're having a hard time thinking of an intention today, no stress. You're more than welcome to join me in mine, which today is simply have faith in myself, in others, in the universe, I suppose. Just faith. Very gently rolling the wrists, maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes as you do it. Inhaling the shoulders up to the ears, exhaling them down the back. Doing this a few times, moving with your breath. Just sort of waking the body up today. And when you're ready, we're all going to start in our cross-legged position. So if our legs are out in front of us, we're going to come back to cross-legged. Maybe our eyes stay closed for this first part. Maybe they open. But I want you to inhale, float both palms overhead. On your exhale, that right palm is going to come down to the outside of the left thigh, and you're just very gently going to twist towards the left. Our spines are nice and straight. Okay. Inhaling, coming back to center, arms up. Exhale, that left hand comes down to the outside of the right thigh, and you gently twist towards the right. Inhale, back to center. On your next exhale, that left hand is just going to come down to the left side, and we're just going to bend towards the left, opening up the side body. We're trying to keep our shoulders nice and stacked here, so our heart is still open to the side. Inhaling back towards center. Exhaling, float that right hand down to the right side. Same thing on this side. Inhale up to center. Exhale, that left palm comes down. Maybe this time you come down to that left forearm, but only if we can keep the right sits bone off the mat. If we're rocking off that sits bone, come back to the hand. Inhale towards center. Last time, exhale, that right palm comes down. Maybe you come down to the forearm. Our hearts are nice and open. And then inhaling up to center. Exhale, palms come down. Shake it out. And then moving so that the soles of our feet come together in front of us on our mat, in what we call our Baddha Konasana, or our bound angle pose. The closer your feet are to the body, the harsher the stretch is going to feel on your hip flexors. So it's whatever your body needs today. But I want you to inhale, find length in that spine first. Crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. You've tried to relax the knees. On your next exhale, the heart is what's going to guide that movement forward towards the feet. And it's like we're trying to pour the heart forward while we honor that space between the chin and the chest. So the gaze stays lifted. We're not tucking that chin. And we're just going to fold until we want to stop. And once we're here, maybe we inhale halfway up. Exhale, see if we can explore some of that space that we created. Doing this however many times this feels good to you until you found where you feel really good about staying stable. And then you can tuck your chin towards your chest and round the spine. And notice if that changes dramatically how this stretch feels. Maybe it doesn't change much at all. Both are okay. Inhale that gaze back up towards center. Exhale, very slowly bring the body back up. Hands can come underneath the knees. We're going to close them. Ooh. Maybe gently windshield wiper them out to the left, to the right. And then however is most comfortable for you to come to your hands and your knees in your tabletop position, that's where we're headed next. And you are going to know that you are in your very best tabletop position when your wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders, your knees are stacked right underneath your hips. If you take a peek through your legs, you shouldn't be able to see your feet. Everything feels in line. And if the wrists are uncomfortable here, we're going to come down to the forearms and just replace the wrist with the elbows. So the elbows are underneath the shoulders to support that flat back. Beautiful, everybody. And we're just going to start with some cat and cows to warm the spine up even more. Inhale, that belly button's going to come down towards the ground. Maybe the gaze lifts just a couple of inches in front of your mat. Exhale, push that ground away. It's like a string. It's pulling the belly button up towards the ceiling and you round the spine. Inhale, that belly button comes down. Maybe the toes tuck. Exhale, push the ground away. The feet flatten if they've tucked. And you round the spine. Do this 3 more times at your own breath pace, doing what feels good for your body. So maybe you exaggerate out the movements. You can roll out the hips or the shoulders. And then just coming back to that flat back whenever you're ready and you're done. We're going to start to engage our core today because we're going to try to balance just a little bit in our class. So I want you to imagine that you're pulling your wrists and your knees together on your mat, almost like you're trying to create a wrinkle right here. You should feel the core tuck up and slightly back. We've engaged our core. And from here, I just want you to inhale, float that right foot up, toes point down towards the ground. If you're here today, that's amazing. Maybe you want to also float your left hand out in front like a teeter-totter. And maybe on your exhale, you want to curl that elbow to meet the knee and extend back out. And exhale to curl. Inhale it back out. Last time, exhale, we're going to curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Ujjayi, exhale it back out. Float that hand and that knee back down towards the mat. Let's flip the right palm so our fingertips face towards our knees while on the mat and just bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again to give that wrist a little break. Shake it out. We're placing it on the mat. We're doing the exact same thing on the other side. So first you're going to engage your core. Inhale, float that left foot up, toes point down towards the ground. If you're here today, crushing it. Maybe you want to inhale that right arm out in front as well. Maybe you want to exhale and curl that elbow to meet the knee. And exhale back out. Exhale to curl. Inhale back out. Last time, exhale, curl and hold for 3, 2, 1. Inhale it back out. Float that hand, that knee back down towards the mat. And flip the left palm this time. Maybe you noticed that reversing the breath cues made it feel a little bit different. Maybe it didn't. Well, that's okay. Shaking that wrist out, replacing it on the mat, and then spreading the fingertips wide, pressing into the fingertips, and especially the pads in this L between your index finger and your thumb, because that's going to protect the wrist the most. When we inhale to tuck the toes, and exhale, lift the body up and back for our first downward dog of class. I want you to take your dog for a nice long walk here. Stretching out one leg, and then the other, bending the knees. Maybe coming to a floating child's pose, hovering just 2 inches off the mat and extending back up. Knowing it's okay if this doesn't feel particularly comfortable to you yet, that's totally okay. Coming back to stillness here. We have our first opportunity for a vinyasa flow. So if you want to guide yourself, feel free. If you want to flow all together, we're going to inhale a gaze between the hands. Exhale, roll forward into your plank position. And then I want you to bring your knees to the ground, untuck the toes, keeping the elbows as close to the body as you can. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat so we can rest our forehead or a cheek. And then, apologies if there's somebody else who's sleeping in your house. I would just want you to drum the tops of your feet into your mat. Very lightly, make a little bit of noise this morning. Coming back to stillness, press that exact same part of the foot into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. There's no weight in the fingertips. As you inhale, just the shoulders come off. You can give me a little wave. Exhale, back down. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Fantastic. Inhale, float that right foot high to the sky for me. Bring the gaze in between the hands. On your exhale, very slowly, I want you to gently step that right foot forward, somewhat towards that right thumb, not too concerned with how close it actually gets. And let's bring that left knee to the ground, untuck that left foot. Now we have the option to stay here on our wrists. We want to come to our fists with our thumbs on the ground. We can stay here. Our hearts are nice and lifted. Or if you'd like, you could inhale up and just rest the hands interlaced right here on the quad, trying not to push on the knee. But take a peek at my right knee. It's right over top of my ankle or it's slightly behind. I'm not going over towards the toes. The joints love to be in line. We're not going to change that for them today. And I want you to focus on your breath because we're going to use our breath to help us find a little stillness here today. Hello, you interloper. 2 more breath cycles here. Use it to help support the body in finding stillness here. On your third exhale, pour those hands back forward to frame that front foot. We're not quite done here yet. On an inhale, tuck the back toes for me. Lift that back knee. Maybe take half a step in with that back foot. We have the option to stay here, or we have the option to inhale up to our floating lunge. Same thing on this side. My right knee is over top or behind my ankle. I'm not going over towards the toes. And I want you to use your breath to find stillness. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. One more breath cycle. On your next exhale, pour those hands back down to frame that front foot. And you're going to float that right leg high to the sky and down to meet the left. Option for another vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Remembering that cat and cow and child's pose. Beautiful options. If you want to flow together, we're going to inhale forward back to that plank position. Let's lower the knees again. Untuck the toes. Keep the elbows as close to the body as you can, all the way down. Same thing, press the tops of your feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. Maybe gentle weight in the fingertips this time as we push up a little bit higher into our cobra. And exhale back down. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Fantastic. You know exactly where we're headed next. No surprises. Inhale, float that left foot high to the sky. Bring the gaze in between the hands. On your exhale, as slowly as you can, gently step that left foot forward towards that left thumb. Right knee's going to come down, the right toes untuck. We have the option to stay here and keep that heart lifted forward. If this feels like a good balance between challenge and respect for the body, maybe you want to inhale and interlace those fingertips just on this quad, not pressing on the knee joint. Wherever you're at, we're finding some stillness. Left knee in line with that ankle. And I just want you to breathe. If our hands are still on the ground, imagine you had a necklace or some writing on your t-shirt that you wanted the person standing in front of you to read. So the heart shifts forward. We're not rounding through that spine. Fabulous. One last breath cycle. On your next exhale, if our hands are up, you're gonna pour them back down to frame that front foot. Not quite done yet. Inhale, tuck that back toe. Lift that back knee. We take half a step in. Option to stay here or option to inhale up towards our lunge on this side. And I want you to use your breath to help find that stillness. Inhale, Ujjayi, exhale. Three more breath cycles here. On your fourth exhale, pour those hands forward to frame that front foot. And maybe with a groan, you're gonna float that left leg high to the sky and back down to meet the right. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhale forward to that plank if you're going together. We can keep our knees off the ground or we can lower them this time, but we're still gonna lower all the way down to the mat. And untuck those toes. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, feel the kneecaps lift. Inhale up to whichever cobra felt great to you. Exhale back down. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back. And then I want you to bring your knees to the ground. Untuck the toes. Send the hips over the heels for a well-deserved child's pose. Bring the elbows down to the mat. And rest. Child's pose should feel like a place of ultimate restoration for you. So you're welcome to come here at any point in class, especially during vinyasa flows. But also, if child's pose is not the most comfortable option for you, I'd rather you go there instead. Come back to your breath here. Come back to that intention if you set one. Reconnect with both. And when your body tells you it's ready, and not a single second before, there's no rushing in yoga. You're going at your own time. I just want you to inhale up to that tabletop position that we started with. Maybe you take a couple rounds of cat and cow here. Maybe you do some hip circles. You notice if the hips feel a little bit different from when we first slipped onto our mat. Maybe they don't, that's okay. If we're hip circling, going the other way. And when you're ready to flow, coming back to stillness, pressing into those fingertips and the pads of your palm. Inhale to tuck the toes, exhale, lift the body up and back. I want you to inhale, float that right leg high to the sky. Bring the gaze in between the hands. Exhale, very gently step forward towards that right thumb. This time, take a peek at my left foot. You're gonna pivot it so it's parallel with the back of your mat. Your toes come out to the side. Left arm floats forward. The right arm is gonna float back. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel all the way open to your warrior two. That right knee still over top of that ankle or slightly behind it. If it's going towards the toes, move that foot out a little bit for me. Arms are floating right here at heart center, in line with the shoulders. Fabulous. Flip both palms. Inhale, lengthen that front leg. Exhale, sink back down. Notice what it feels like now that we've opened the hips up to the side of the room. Flip both palms again for me. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last time, flip both palms. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back down. On your next inhale, just prepare. Exhale, you're gonna bring that right forearm to rest on that right quad and draw an arc overhead with that left hand. Our shoulders still in line here. Fabulous, everybody. I just want you to breathe through this extended side angle. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. In and out through the nose. On your next exhale, cartwheel those hands back down to your warrior two. Flip both palms. Inhale up. Exhale back down. This time, flip the palms on your inhale. Exhale, cartwheel those hands back down to frame that front foot. But we're gonna draw a semicircle to the left side of your mat. The right toes are gonna point towards the left as well. We're coming to a wide-legged forward fold facing the side of our mat. Fabulous. Now from here, you can exhale to the side. Inhale up towards center. Exhale to the other side. Make it dynamic. Or you can pause here in the center and just guide the heart down towards the ground. Maybe walk the hands in between the legs. Whatever feels good to your body. Coming back to stillness in the center from wherever you're at. If we've walked the hands in between, let's walk them back out. On your next inhale, you're gonna draw that semicircle back again to face the top of your mat with that right foot in front. Both hands are gonna frame that foot and you're gonna fly that right leg high to the sky, down to meet the left. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhaling forward, exhaling all the way down or halfway if you're ready. Inhale up to that upward facing dog or the cobra of your choice. Exhale back to downward dog. Take a moment here in downward dog. Maybe walk it out a little bit. Prepare for the other side. And you know exactly where we're headed. So when you're ready, feel free to go there. Inhale, float that left leg high to the sky. Bring the gaze between the hands. Exhale, step it forward. Those right toes are gonna come out to the side so our foot is parallel with the back of your mat. Right arm reaches forward, the left arm reaches back. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel open to your warrior two on this side. Arms float right here at the shoulders, knees over top of the ankle or behind it. We feel pretty solid here. Flip both palms for me. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back down. Flip both palms. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, flip both palms. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, flip just that front palm. Exhale, come back to that extended side angle on this side. So that left forearm is resting on the left quad, not on that knee joint. Right arm floats overhead. Shoulders are nice and stacked. Come back to your breath here. Two more breaths. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. On your next exhale, come back through warrior two. Last time, flip both palms for me. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Inhale, flip both palms. Exhale, cartwheel the hands back down to frame that front foot, but draw your semicircle on this side. Left toes point towards the right. We're back in our wide-legged forward fold. Doing whatever feels good here. If we're coming to the center and just trying to lower the heart down, our toes are not pointing to the out. Our toes are actually pointing towards the inside of our mat. And just use your breath. 2 more breath cycles wherever you're at here in this wide-legged forward fold. And then come back to center, back to stillness. Draw that semicircle back towards the front of your mat. Pivot onto those left toes, those right toes, and float that left leg high to the sky, down to meet the right. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhale forward. Exhale all the way down or halfway. Inhale up. Exhale back. And then let's bring both knees to the ground. Untuck the toes. Maybe the big toes come together and the knees come wide and you sink back for a wide-legged child's pose this time. But you come back to that place of restoration and peace. Come back to your breath. Notice how it's changed since the first time you stepped onto your mat this morning. Maybe it really hasn't, and that's okay. Bring the heart rate back down. Invite it to do so just by focusing on the breath. Always take water when you need some. I don't tend to cue water breaks, so take water when you want to. And come back to that intention if you set one. And it's not too late to set one now. If you didn't set one then, but you're like, I kind of want to set one now, and one has come to you. Go ahead, set it now. We still have time left. When your body is ready and you feel back in touch with your breath and the heart rate and the intention, and you want to flow some more, on your inhale, you're going to come back to that tabletop position. And I mentioned at the very beginning of class, you don't need any props for this class because obviously we cannot make you use props because we're all doing this at home. But if you wanted to be able to use a block and you don't have one, you can use a book. So make sure your book or your block is near the top of your mat where you can grab it if you want it. And when you're ready, on an inhale, we're going to tuck the toes. On an exhale, we're going to lift the body up and back for your downward dog. Hello there. Inhale, float that right foot high to the sky for me. Bring the gaze in between the hands. Exhale, float that right foot forward towards that right thumb. We have been here so many times before. Flatten that back foot out so it's about parallel with the back of your mat. Float the left arm forward, the right arm back. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel open towards our warrior two. Beautiful. Just once, I want you to flip both palms. Inhale up. Exhale back down. And then I want you to take a peek at this front knee and very gently bring it towards straight. We're not locking out that knee joint. Notice the difference. There's a micro bend in it. And with that right hand, I want you to reach forward like you're reaching to shake someone's hand. You can't reach any further forward. You're going to tilt. And just turn. So that our fingertips could place on the ground on the inside or float off the ground. Or this is where that book or that block can come in handy. We can use the block on the inside of that right foot to support our triangle. If our hands are floating here, you're doing full triangle. If our hands are down here, you're doing full triangle. It's wherever your body feels it the best. And now we have the option to stay here. Or if you'd like to add a little bit more to it, I want you to bring that left hand down, replace it on the block, the book, the mat, or floating, and float that right hand up. So we've just twisted across our triangle and opened up to the side. Everyone's doing beautifully, I know. Few breaths here. Float that right hand back down to the block, the book, the mat. Inhale, float that left arm up. And then imagine like you're grabbing onto a rope with that left hand that's hanging in front of you and use it to pull the body back up. Fabulous. Exhale down to that warrior two. Cartwheel both hands back down to frame that front foot. Move that book to the side or that block to the side where we can grab it when we need it on the other side. Float that right leg up and down to meet the left. Option for a vinyasa flow if you want to take one. Go where your body wants to go. Move with your breath. Remember that cat and cow is a beautiful option. All of us meeting back in downward dog whenever you're ready. You know exactly where we're headed, no surprises. Inhale, float that left foot high to the sky. Gaze moves first, then the foot steps forward. Pivot that foot back to be parallel with the back of your mat. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel open to that warrior two. We've been here so many times, you know how this feels in your body. Make the adjustments as needed for that front knee, that back foot, those arms. Flip both palms for me. Inhale up. Exhale down. Then take a peek at that left knee. We're going to bring it very gently towards straight, still not locking out the knee joint. And then reaching forward with that left hand, like you're reaching to shake my hand. When you can't reach any further forward, you're going to tilt. And that left hand is going to float down towards the ground. Maybe it reaches for that book or that block, or it floats up here off the ground. Wherever you're at, you're doing full expression of triangle, and it's beautiful. And I just want you to breathe. Easier said than done, right? I know. Come back to that Ujjayi breath if you can. If it doesn't feel good to you, let it go. Come back to your regular breath. Still try to keep it in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you'd like to twist on this side, that right hand is just going to replace the left wherever it's at, and we're going to twist open towards the left. Floating that left arm up overhead, as straight as we can get it. The lower body has not moved. 2 more breaths. On your third exhale, bring that left hand back down. Float the right arm up. Imagine you're grabbing onto a rope with that right arm. Use it to pull the body up. Exhale back to that warrior two for just a moment. Cartwheel those hands back down to frame the foot. Move the block or the book out to the side if you're using it. Float that foot high to the sky. Down to meet the right. Option for Vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Go where your breath would like to go, in an upward facing dog or cobra. Cat and cow. And we're all going to meet in child's pose when you're ready. Wide-legged or standard, up to you. Elbows can come down, hands can even reach back behind the body for the heels if that's comfortable for you. And we're going to come back to that breath. Surprise, surprise. Calm your breath down. Use that to calm the heart rate a little bit. Your heart's like, I've been working hard. I'm doing a lot of work for the body today. And you're going to reward it by letting it sink back into that parasympathetic place. By letting it calm. We have one more optional part of our flow today. And I do say optional because it's a balance that I usually teach with a block handy. So since we don't all have blocks or books, it's going to be completely and totally optional. And I'll explain more to you as we go. Come back to that intention if you set one. Draw some more focus, some more energy from it. Remind yourself why you stepped onto your mat today. And when your body's ready, not a second before, you're going to inhale up to that tabletop position. Maybe taking a round or two of cat and cow once you get there. Rolling out the shoulders and the hips. And then on an inhale, I'm gonna have you tuck the toes. Exhale, lift the body back up to that downward dog. Inhale, float that right foot high. Gaze moves first, look where you're headed. Exhale, step that right foot forward very gently. Pivot that back foot. We're coming back to our warrior, to our old friend. Last time on this side, I promise. Left arm forward, right arm back. All the way up. Open it up. All right. So we have a couple options here. I want you to take a peek down. If you're using a book or a block, I want you to place it a little bit in front of that right foot. It can be off the mat if you want, onto the ground. I have a couch right there, so I can't show you that. So I'm just gonna move back and shorten my stance. But that book or that block is gonna be target practice for you here. We're coming to our half moon, if you'd like. So from here, we're gonna keep that right foot bent. I want you to reach forward the way we did earlier and tilt. And bring that right hand down to the inside of that right foot. Beautiful. Maybe it's floating here. That's awesome. Maybe it's all the way down on the ground. That's great too. But the difference between this and triangle is that right knee is still bent. And then I want you to make eye contact with that book or that block, or just look in front of your mat, in front of that foot. That's where this right hand is going to go if you choose to take this half moon option. So when you're ready, inhale. On your exhale, you're gonna press off that back foot and float that left leg into the sky. Flex through that left foot. That right hand is on that book or that block in front of the right foot. Our shoulders are stacked as much as can be. And we're floating here. If you're wobbling, you're working. We love to see it. Use your breath. Feel how your core tightens together to hold you up. Everyone's doing beautifully. And then the same way we got into it, you're gonna bring that right knee to bent, float that foot back down, and we're back to our extended side angle with the hand on the ground. Inhale up to warrior two. So both palms for me, inhale up, exhale down. Cartwheel those hands back down to frame that front foot and fly that right leg high to the sky, down to meet the left. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Now you know what the option is, and we have one more side to go. Come back to your breath. Lower that heart rate. You can do this. On an inhale, tuck the back toes, lift to that downward dog. Inhale, float that left leg this time. Gaze moves first. Exhale, that left foot steps towards that left thumb. Pivot that back foot so it's parallel. Right arm forward, left arm back. Cartwheel open to our warrior two. Option to stay here. If half moon and extended side angle are just not where your body wants to be right now, stay here in this warrior two. Feel the power of this stance. If you'd like to join, you're just gonna reach forward that left hand. When you can't reach any further forward, you're gonna tilt into your extended side angle. That knee is bent here. If you're here and this is where your body wants to stop, that's amazing. Maybe you wanna try to float a little bit. So you're gonna make eye contact with that book or that block or just where you think your hand is gonna land on the ground. On an inhale, exhale, press off that right foot, float it into the sky. It's level with your hip. You're flexing through that right foot. Left foot is stable. Stable does not mean absent of wobbling. Wobbling means you're working. Left arm is right underneath that shoulder. Right arm floats on top. We've opened up to this half moon if you're here with me, and it looks beautiful. 2 more breaths. And gently bring that knee back down to bend. Come back to that extended side angle, and then pull up to your warrior two. Flip both palms for me. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back down. Cartwheel both hands back down to frame that front foot. Float that left leg high to the sky. Down to meet the right option for your very last vinyasa flow of class. Make it the best one for you. And then we're all going to meet in a child's pose whenever you're ready. Everyone did so beautifully with that. And you're going to say, how can you know that I did that beautifully? You can't even see me. Trust me, I know. Because I know that you listened to your body and you did what you wanted to do and you explored and you respected your boundaries. That's what we're all supposed to do in this class. And I'm very proud of you for doing it. Oh, and now we're really going to begin to cool the body down. Bring it back down to the mat. We're going to lower that heart rate and let it be there and not bring it back up. Cool down, and especially Shavasana, where your body begins to thank you for the work you did for it today. My challenge to you is just to try to listen to what it's telling you. So when your body's ready, not a second before, you're going to meet me in that tabletop. And then however is most comfortable for you to come to a seated position on your mat, that's where we're headed next. Scooting towards the top of our mat so we have enough room to lay back down behind us. We have a couple of options on how to lay back down. If our neck, spine, or back is a concern for us, we're just going to plant our feet on the mat and lower all the way down. But if you'd like to roll back, you're going to reach on the inside of your knees for the outside of the feet. That's the side of the feet with the pinky toes. And gently roll back into your happy baby. If we laid back down, I want you to inhale those knees into the chest, and then all of us are going to open up to our happy baby. Looking like we're stamping our feet on the ceiling. You can rock side to side here. You can extend out one leg and then the other, or guide the soles of your feet together in a kind of a Supta Baddha Konasana. Whatever works best for you. You're just taking the time to rock. Give that back a little massage. Give the hips a little space. And then releasing those feet, I want you to hug the knees into the chest again. Flex through the feet for me and bring the feet down towards the mat. Knees face up towards the ceiling like mountains. And you're going to cross that right foot over top of the left quad. So that right foot is flexed and it's on top of that left quad. You're going to reach underneath that cross leg for the back of that left thigh and hug the legs in towards the chest. This is the supine version of our pigeon pose, and it's usually a little bit more accessible. Pigeon can be really rough for the body sometimes. So I like to do figure four here. Use your breath still. Inhale to relax and stretch. Exhale to see if you can explore it just a little bit deeper. We're still flexing through that right foot to protect all the joints. Everyone looks great. Releasing that foot down towards the mat. I want you to uncross that right foot, bring it down towards the mat as well. Maybe you windshield wiper the feet out, the knees out to the left and to the right a few times. And then bringing it back to center, same thing. You're going to cross that left foot over top of the right quad, flexing through that left foot. And you're going to reach underneath the crossed leg for the back of the right thigh and hug the legs in towards the body. Use your breath. Inhale to create space. Exhale to explore it. Very gently letting that right foot come down towards the mat. Uncrossing the left, planting it next to the right. Windshield wiping the knees out again. Inhale, both knees into the chest, hug them in. I want you to hold on to that right leg with the left leg extended long on your mat. And then using your left hand, I want you to guide the right leg across the body towards the left. The trick here is that we're keeping both shoulders equally planted off the mat. So if my right shoulder were popping off of that mat, I'm going to bring the right knee back towards center. It's okay if that right leg is flying pretty high off the ground. If that's uncomfortable to the body, though, decrease the angle in that knee joint and bring the foot down. Arms can be at a T or at cactus arms. Maybe the gaze comes over the right shoulder and you just let yourself sink into this twist. Notice where the body is holding tension and see if you can relax it. Inhale into those spaces. Exhale, see if you can relieve them. Inhale, bring that nose back towards center first. Gently guide the knee back towards center as well. Oof. Hug the knee in and guide it up towards that right armpit a little bit. So it comes up and slightly out. Just a little bit. Maybe you roll that right ankle. Making sure we roll in both directions. Inhale, hug both knees into the chest again. This time, hold on to the left leg for me. Let that right leg extend long on your mat. Same thing on this side. That right hand can guide the left leg across the body. We keep both shoulders equally planted into the mat. So when that left shoulder starts to come off, that's where we know our stopping point is. We can decrease the angle in that knee to bring the foot to the ground. Arms can be at a T or a cactus. Gaze can come over the left shoulder. And you try to relax any tension you might have. These spinal twists, they reset the back. Should feel like a nice massage for the spine. And through that, they also reset the energy. Inhale that nose back towards center. Gently, that left knee comes back as well. Hug that knee in, guide it towards that left armpit. Up and slightly over to the left. Maybe make some circles with that left foot. Reversing directions. And very last time, I want you to hug that right knee into the chest. We have both legs If there are any final asanas you would like to take for your own practice, maybe you just want to make some big circles in the ceiling with the knees. Maybe it's a bridge pose or plow or a shoulder stand, whatever's in your practice and you want to explore those, feel free to do that now. But when you're ready, you're just gonna let both legs extend long on your mat. The soles fall away from each other. The hands can come out to the side of the body. Palms can face up to collect energy or can face down to find grounding, whatever you need today. The eyes can close or come to a soft gaze on something on the ceiling. You're gonna relax your jaw and let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Let the shoulders relax. Let the hips relax. And you're just gonna trust your mat to hold everything you've got to offer. Just melt into it. Very gently beginning to bring some awareness back to the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making small circles with the wrists and the ankles. Inhaling those arms overhead, pointing the toes, taking a full body stretch like you're just getting out of bed for the first time today. And then rolling to your right side, using your bicep as a cushion for your head. For the last time all together, we're going to reflect on those intentions if we set them. Letting them go if they no longer serve us. Holding them in if we wish to carry them with us. And spreading the fingertips on that left hand wide, feeling the connection between each fingertip and the ground in front of you. On an exhale, you're going to press into that palm to just come back to a seated position at the top of your mat where we're going to end class all together. Once we're here, we can inhale those palms overhead to touch. Exhaling them down the midline, we're going to pause at the forehead, maybe think kind thoughts. We're going to pause at the lips, maybe speak kind words, and we're going to pause finally at the heart. May we have kind intentions to ourselves and to those around us. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. May you all be happy, may you be safe and healthy. May you walk this earth with peace and at ease, and may you find the space to help others and yourself along the way. Namaste, yogis. All right, I am going to pause the recording